Millionaire installs cameras to protect his paralyzed daughter. What he discovers is life-changing. Jack Holloway had it all. A sprawling mansion overlooking the majestic Rocky Mountains, a successful tech company, and lifestyle that many could only dream about. But one fateful night turned his life upside down. His only daughter, Lily, was in a tragic car accident. The news was shattering. She would never walk again. Each breath became a reminder of her lost dreams and Jack's newfound guilt. In a desperate bid to control the chaos, Jack transformed his home into a fortress. High-tech security cameras watched over Lily, capturing her every move, as he threw himself deeper into work, chasing numbers that felt empty without her laughter. Days turned into nights, and Jack spent hours glued to the surveillance footage. What started as a mechanism for safety soon turned into an unexpected journey of discovery. In the endless streams of mundane moments, he found something extraordinary. There was Lily, seated in her wheelchair on the patio, sketching with a pencil that glided effortlessly across paper. Surrounding her were the neighborhood children, laughter bubbling like a spring. They climbed over each other, racing to her side, captivated by her sharp wit and strong spirit. He watched her hands, a beautifully manicured reminder of the woman he admired. The way she taught the kids the fundamentals of art ignited a flicker of warmth in his chest, a light he'd forgotten existed. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As he continued watching, Jack's heart swelled with hope, but his mind battled confusion and irritation. He hadn't just been absent from Lily's recovery. He'd been completely blind to the loving community that surrounded them. The contrasting images of Lily's joy painted a stark picture against the guilt-driven man who was consumed by work. Meanwhile, his wife Sarah's voice echoed in the house, often full of frustration and resentment for Jack's perpetual absence. They would argue about their parenting styles, Jack's fixation on wealth and security against Sarah's plea for more intimacy and connection. Each fight pierced Jack deeper, crystallizing his fears that he was losing both his wife and daughter to their own separate worlds. Determined to reclaim what was slipping away, Jack began to plan an art fair, a celebration of Lily's passion. It wasn't just for her. It was an attempt to bridge the gap he'd built between them and the vibrant neighborhood. But as the idea took shape, it sparked more than excitement. Doubts crept in. Would the local families resent his wealth? Would they see him as just a millionaire trying to save their kids? As the deadline approached, tension unraveled. Jack realized the fair could be the answer to more than just a community event. It needed to be a reckoning for himself, too. Standing in the empty backyard, he felt the weight of the decision pressing down on him. With the fair quickly approaching, Jack faced the defining question. Can he finally let go of his fixation on money and accolades in order to embrace the raw, unfiltered love that family and community can provide? As he looked towards the mountains, a flicker of determination grew in his heart, signaling that perhaps together they would find a way to heal truly. Jack stood in the backyard, gazing at the mountains. The sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over the landscape. It was a beautiful scene, but his heart was heavy. He had spent too long avoiding the reality of his daughter's world, locked away in his own. The days leading up to the art fair felt like an emotional roller coaster. He found himself immersed in planning, creating flyers, and gathering supplies. Each step brought him closer to a connection he desperately needed, but feared he might not achieve. As he flipped through sketches Lily had made, he found a mix of joy and sadness. These pieces were a window into her soul, a glimpse of the vibrant girl she once was. Yet they also reminded him of the isolation that had stretched between them. The next day, he made a trip to the local art supply store. It was bustling with families and art lovers, a stark contrast to his quiet home. He felt out of place, but he pushed through the awkwardness, determined to step out of his comfort zone. A mother smiled at him, and he felt a warmth in return that hinted at acceptance. It was a simple gesture, but it ignited something inside him, a faint spark of what community could truly mean. Jack moved through the aisles, picking up paints, brushes, and canvases. As he loaded his cart, he overheard two women discussing how excited they were for the fair. Their laughter floated around him, and suddenly, he caught a vision of the event to come. Children running to Lily's stall, filled with gleeful energy, their faces illuminated by the colors of her art. Yet, with the hope came a wave of doubt. What if they saw him only as a wealthy outsider? What if this fair meant nothing more than a rich man trying to win back favor? He shook his head, trying to brush away the negativity. It wouldn't serve anyone to dwell in the shadows of his fears. That evening, he shared his plans with Sarah. Sitting at the dinner table, he carefully explained his vision for the fair. Her eyes lit up, and for the first time in months, he felt like she genuinely listened. "This is a good idea, Jack," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "We could invite the neighbors, get the kids involved. Lily would love it." Her encouragement filled him with renewed energy. Together they sketched out ideas, laughing about how Lily would likely steal the show with her charisma and creativity. As they sat side by side, a flicker of hope began to glow between them. Could this fair help mend the frayed threads of their relationship? Meanwhile, their daughter, unaware of the plans brewing, immersed herself in her sketches. Jack took a moment to peek at her, heart full. Lily's passion streamed from her fingertips, and he was mesmerized. Her art reflected resilience, her unyielding spirit shining through every stroke. As the fair day approached, Jack realized he was starting to change. The camera's role in his life had morphed from surveillance to an instrument for connection. He'd begun to embrace the community beyond his mansion walls, and it felt liberating. But just as he began to feel confident, a sudden thought crashed into his mind. What if his fear of judgment ultimately held a greater truth? What if he hadn't just been absent in Lily's life, but the very thing that had blocked joy from his family? With those daunting questions swirling in his mind, Jack stood on the cusp of his transformation, ready to embrace the fair. But the deeper he delved into the preparation, the more complicated his emotions became. As the sun set that evening, casting long shadows against the mountains, Jack felt a stirring deep inside. Would this fair truly bridge the gaps in their lives, or would it unveil more cracks they couldn't ignore? The day of the art fair arrived with a crispness in the air that felt electric. Jack woke early, heart racing with anticipation. The soft rays of the morning sun warmed his face as he opened the back door, stepping outside to take in the world anew. The mountains stood tall, as they always did, but today he felt an odd sense of kinship with their strength. He turned back to the house, his heart pounding. As he moved about preparing for the day, gathering the artwork and setting up Lily's stall, his mind wandered to what lay ahead. Would visitors see his daughter's art as a reflection of her spirit? Would they connect with her the way he longed for? When Sarah joined him, she carried a large basket filled with snacks and drinks. Her smile lit up the yard. "Everything looks great, Jack. Have you seen Lily?" "Not yet. I thought I'd let her sleep a little longer." As if on cue, Lily appeared, her hair tousled and her eyes still heavy with sleep. She rubbed her eyes, looking at the colorful decorations surrounding the yard. "What's all this?" she asked, a hint of confusion in her voice. "Your art fair," Jack exclaimed, kneeling down to meet her gaze. "You're going to show everyone your incredible work today." Her confusion morphed into surprise, and then joy lit up her face. "Really? I get to show my art?" "Yes. It's your moment, Lily. You've worked so hard," he replied, his heart swelling with pride. She beamed, a spark of excitement igniting within her. As the first guests began to arrive, Jack felt the tightening in his chest, a mix of excitement and anxiety. They were neighbors, friends from the past, and some familiar faces from the area. Laughter and chatter filled the air. Children ran to Lily's stall, their small hands brushing against her vibrant paintings. "Look at all the colors!" one girl exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. Jack watched as the children pointed and giggled, absorbed in Lily's art. Lily's laughter rang out, clear and bright. Watching her connect with others ignited a warmth in Jack's chest, but it didn't last long. He caught snippets of conversation from adults that made his heart sink. "Who does he think he is, putting this together?" a voice whispered. "Does he really care about her, or is this just a show?" another remarked, their tone dripping with judgment. Jack swallowed hard, the tightening in his chest returning. These stabs of doubt sunk deep. Could he reclaim his role in Lily's life after everything? Could this fair erase the shadows that loomed over their family? Yet, he pushed the whispers aside. He had pushed through so much to get to this moment. For Lily, he could face anyone. The energy pulsed around him as guests began to engage with Lily's work. He saw smiles, heard laughter, and caught snippets of praise. They were drawing her into their world, and Jack wanted to breathe it all in. It was glorious and terrifying, a cacophony of human connection that he had long shut out. But then he looked over to find Sarah talking to someone just off to the side. She gestured toward him, the concern on her face evident. Confusion flooded him. Was she worried about him? About something? The weight of her gaze pulled him in. Could he really face his reality? Suddenly, there was a hollowness in the pit of his stomach. Before he could gather his thoughts, he turned to Lily, her excitement infectious as she animatedly explained her artwork. The doubts crept back in, threatening to drown him. In that moment, Jack realized he had to make a choice. He could either retreat into the shadows of his fears or step forward into the light of possibility. As laughter filled the air, a sudden crash of sound interrupted the joyous ambiance. A child stumbled into a display, sending canvases toppling. His heart raced as he sprinted toward the chaos. What would this mean for Lily's moment? Would this fair be remembered for splendor or disaster? Jack reached Lily's setup just as a cascade of colors hit the grass. The canvases thudded softly, some bending at odd angles. He could see Lily's eyes widen, her joy slipping into panic as the crowd's laughter turned to gasps. "Lily!" he shouted, rushing to her side, his heart pounding. "It's okay." He knelt beside her, feeling the warmth of her small hand clutch at his wrist. "Dad, what if—" "Shh," he said gently, forcing a smile. "Let's fix this." Quickly they started to gather the scattered artwork. Jack could hear the whispers. They felt sharper than before. "He can't even control his own display," someone murmured. But Jack focused on Lily, her presence grounding him. With every painting they propped back up, he could see her anxiety start to fade. One by one, joyful colors returned to their rightful places. He held her hand tightly, their united front against the scrutiny. "You're doing amazing, Lily," he encouraged, brushing stray hair from her face. She took a shaky breath, pushing her shoulders back. "I want them to see my art," she declared, her voice stronger now. As they finished setting things right, applause erupted from the crowd. The neighbors had witnessed their quick recovery, and their cheers resonated through the air like a jubilant anthem. Jack felt relief wash over him, but it quickly became clear that the incident had drawn more eyes to them. Glancing around, he could see people moving closer. Children gathered with new excitement, their curiosity piqued. Jack's heart, once heavy with doubt, felt lighter. "Wow!" exclaimed one boy, pointing. "Look at that one! It's like it's alive!" "They're beautiful," another girl chimed in, her big eyes sparkling with admiration. Jack watched as their enthusiasm reshaped the energy surrounding the art fair. The adults had quieted, and it seemed they were absorbing the joy that had been rekindled. Lily's art had become a beacon, drawing in the crowd, inviting them to see not just paint and canvas but pieces of her spirit. With each passing moment, he felt her growing more confident, more visibly proud. Their earlier struggle vanished, replaced with laughter and awe. "Just wait until you see my favorite," Lily exclaimed, leading a few children to her most vibrant piece, a painting bursting with sunflowers dancing in a golden field. Jack watched, a smile creeping onto his face as her voice rang with excitement. The colors glowed under the sunlight, together creating an atmosphere that felt almost magical. The fears that had once gripped him like a vice now loosened their hold, replaced with a sense of hope and newfound strength. Then, amidst the laughter, Jack caught sight of Sarah again. She stood alone, leaning against a tree, her brow furrowed as she observed both the spectacle and Jack. There was a mix of admiration and concern in her eyes that made his stomach twist. He had felt her uncertainty before, but now it was like a quiet storm brewing. "What's wrong?" Lily asked suddenly, her innocent query pulling him back. "Nothing, well, just—" Jack hesitated, looking at the crowd enjoying the fair. "People can be complicated, you know. They're not all like that." She frowned, glancing towards where adults were still gathered but now in light discussions amongst themselves, some smiling, others animated by Lily's art. "Exactly," Jack said, pride filling his chest again. "Sometimes the light shines through." But then he turned back to the crowd and noticed one face. Negative, judgmental. The weight of that gaze felt familiar. He took a deep breath, reassured by the laughter around him, yet troubled by the thought creeping into his mind. Just how much did he still need to prove? Just how much healing was left to do? As dusk began to settle, painting the sky in warm hues, he looked down at Lily, who was immersed in her own world. The fair had transformed, an unexpected triumph, and Jack wanted nothing more than to retain that magic. But optimism clashed with the shadows creeping back, questions unfurling like fragile petals curled tight. "Dad, can we show them more?" Lily asked brightly. "Of course, sweetheart." But as Jack looked around, a chill ran through him. What if the tidings of unity would soon be countered by something darker? He took Lily's hand tighter. Tomorrow would only reveal more, and he had to be ready. Ready for whatever came next. Would he find the courage to keep his family together, or would the past rise again to threaten them? The sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows that draped over the event like a blanket. Jack frowned, feeling the weight of the gathering dusk. As laughter echoed and children sprinted around, he turned his attention back to Lily. Her enthusiasm flushed against the fading light, a stark contrast to his swirling doubts. "Dad, can we show them more?" she said again, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Definitely. Let's find your best pieces," Jack replied, his heart swelling at her eagerness. It was a testament to her resilience. She was infused with vibrant energy, and he couldn't help but feel pulled in by it, like the warmth of the sun he often took for granted. As they walked toward the area where the larger canvases had been, Jack noticed more of their neighbors gathering. This crowd was a tapestry of familiarity. Some kind, others turned slightly away. He felt their eyes search for imperfections, ready to dissect every moment. It was suffocating. Suddenly, a voice cut through the air, sharp and clear. "Is that all she has? I thought it would be more professional," a woman exclaimed. The whisper curled around Jack, wrapping tight like a vine. "Who cares what they think?" Lily huffed, her chin up defiantly. "I like my art." Her fierce pride both surprised and warmed him. "Sure you do, sweetheart. That's what matters," Jack soothed, but he couldn't shake the annoyance creeping in. Above all, this moment was for her, not them. With a quick nod, they approached a towering sunflower painting that Lily had worked on tirelessly for weeks. The The joyful yellows and greens filled the space around them, radiating a cheerfulness that sliced through the heavy atmosphere. "Look at it, Dad. It's huge," she exclaimed, almost bouncing on her toes. He couldn't help but smile. Her joy was infectious. "Just like you," he replied, beaming down at her. She looked up, suddenly serious, and the world around him dimmed again. "Do you think they'll like it?" she asked, a tinge of uncertainty shadowing her confidence. "They will," Jack reassured, but his thoughts danced back to Sarah, the unresolved tension still gnawing at him. She was still watching from afar, her expression a storm cloud of undecided feelings. From their corner, Jack could see the adults' whispering had resumed. Glances exchanged, tilted heads, and faint chuckles. A hollow knot formed in his stomach. Lily noticed, her eyes darting to the group, and her brows furrowed. "Why are they staring?" she asked quietly, those small shoulders slumping slightly under the weight of doubt. Glad for the moment to redirect her fear, Jack took a deep breath. "Sometimes people just don't understand what real beauty is," he said gently. "They might see only what's right in front of them and miss what's in your heart." Lily stared at her painting, deep in thought. "But what if they don't want to?" she whispered, as if admitting it would make it true. "Then they're missing a chance to see the world through your eyes," he replied fiercely, wishing to banish her worry with his conviction. Would they keep holding on to doubt when they saw the joy splashed across her canvas? He hoped they would. As they set the painting upright, a larger group formed around them, each face reflecting curiosity. The children, once merely observers, now mingled, voices bubbling with excitement, and Jack felt the swell of pride in his chest. Lily was the heart of this gathering, pulling them in with unfiltered honesty. "Show them, Lily," he urged quietly. "Show them all." But just as she opened her mouth, hesitating, Jack caught sight of someone approaching. It was an older man with a beard, dressed sharply. "This," he proclaimed loudly, drawing everyone's attention, "is art." The crowd shifted, his presence commanding. Jack's heart raced. This was a pivotal moment. But would this man lift Lily's spirit, or would he be another voice of judgment? Jack caught a glimpse into Lily's eyes, uncertainty mingling with excitement and hope. Tomorrow was shrouded in questions, and as he steadied himself beside her, he realized the next steps they took could change everything. Would this man be the key to unlocking a wider world for them, or just a chapter in a darker story yet to unfold? The crowd shifted, eyes flickering from Lily's painting to the older man, his discerning gaze sweeping over the vibrant sunflower. Jack felt the tension coil tighter in his chest. "Let's hear what he has to say," he murmured to Lily, trying to bolster her resolve. She nodded, gripping her paintbrush tightly as if it were a shield against the incoming critique. The man stepped forward, placing a hand on the edge of Lily's canvas. "This is an incredible piece of work," he said, his voice deep and resonant, cutting through the remaining whispers. A collective breath seemed to be held for a heartbeat. Art isn't just about perfection, it's about expression. Lily's eyes widened, relief washing over her face. Jack leaned closer, caught up in the moment. "You're not just painting for the audience," he continued. "You're capturing how you see the world. It makes you an artist." "Yes," Lily exclaimed, her excitement bubbling back to life. "I wanted to show my heart." The crowd exchanged glances. A few nodded, their expressions softening. Jack watched in awe as Lily shed her trepidation, her spirit radiating like the sunflowers she loved to paint. The man grinned. "Exactly. Keep sharing your world with us. It's important." He stepped back, motioning to the crowd. "Let's appreciate the nuances in her work. What do you see?" A ripple of response floated through the group. "I see warmth," a young girl shouted, clearly caught up in Lily's energy. "And joy," another voice echoed, followed by bursts of laughter. Jack couldn't believe it. The crowd had shifted, drawn in by Lily's passion. He stole a glance at Sarah, still lingering at the edge, her seriousness having dulled into a thoughtful stare. "See, sweetheart," he whispered to Lily, who was now practically bouncing on her toes. "They love it." Encouraged, Lily lifted her head higher. "This one's my favorite." She pointed to the sunflower, her voice strong now. "I painted it when I heard birds singing outside. It made me think of summer." With each word, Jack felt barriers breaking. The laughter, the wonder, even the skepticism began to fade as they engaged more deeply. "Summer!" A teenager jumped in. "That's so cool. What else do you paint?" Lily smiled wide, her confidence soaring like one of the birds she'd painted. "I love skies. I paint clouds and sunsets, too." The older man nodded, clearly impressed. "A true artist tells stories with their brush. What a lovely thought." He gestured around. "Everyone, let's ask her more about her work. We're lucky to see such talent here. Who's got a question?" As hands shot up, Jack's heart swelled. But just then, from the back, a voice that cut through the warmth. "It seems more like a hobby than something serious," someone scoffed, attempting to toss cold water on the moment. Jack felt heat rise in him. How could anyone miss this? Lily faltered, her brilliance momentarily dimmed. "It's just," she murmured, checking for Jack's reassurance. He instinctively knelt beside her. "Hold on, Lily. Just breathe. Art isn't about being serious all the time. It's what makes you happy." Lily nodded, her fiery spirit reigniting. "I don't want to be serious. I want to share joy." The crowd, sensing the shift, leaned in closer. The man gave a knowing smile. "There it is, Joy. That's the point. Let's celebrate that feeling." His energy sparked something in the observers. As cheers erupted, Jack felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes. Lily had won them over. The crowd erupted in encouragement, laughter, and claps. But in the midst of the applause, Jack's gaze drifted to Sarah again. She seemed touched by the moment, eyes shining, but there was resistance behind them. How could he bridge that gap? Was this moment a step towards healing, or would it deepen the distance between them? As he pondered, he felt Lily's hand squeeze his. She had pulsed back to life. "Did you see that, Dad? They liked me." "Yes," he replied, deeply moved. "You're incredible." Yet he couldn't shake the feeling that their battle was far from over. As the gathering resumed in laughter and connection, Jack realized they had turned a corner, but doubts lingered like the twilight. What more awaited them in the shadows? Would Sarah finally join them in the light after this? He braced himself, knowing they were on the brink of something life-changing, and as the warm night air wrapped around them, one question loomed large in his mind. What if next time the walls truly came down? Jack glanced at Lily, her face still radiant from the earlier applause. The way her spirit twinkled had ignited a flame in everyone around them. Yet, just behind the brightness was a flicker of doubt in Jack's heart. Sarah had been quiet since the crowd began to celebrate, and he could feel the weight of her thoughts pressing down. "Hey, let's take a little walk out back," he said, wanting to give her a moment outside the commotion. He felt he needed to check in with her, to see if she might be ready to share her feelings. With a tight nod, Sarah agreed. They stepped out of the gallery, leaving Lily basking in her artistic glory. The cool breeze was a sudden relief, mixing with the warmth still radiating from inside. Jack exhaled slowly, trying to open the lines of communication. "What do you think?" he asked, his voice soft and probing. "About what?" Sarah replied, crossing her arms as if shielding herself from the night, the look on her face a mix of pride for Lily and frustration with herself. "I mean, watching her up there. She really did shine, didn't she?" he pressed. It felt good to see her that way. Sarah turned away, looking out over the small garden that surrounded the gallery. I don't know, Jack. It all seems too chaotic," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "What if she gets hurt? What if people don't appreciate her?" I know you think it's amazing, but... But what? Jack interrupted gently. She needs this. We all need this. Art isn't just chaos, it's life. It's how she processes everything. I want to protect her, Sarah blurted, her defenses cracking. You don't understand what that's like. Living in fear every day for what might happen, for what could change in an instant. Jack's heart sank. He stepped closer, searching her eyes. I get it, but that can't stop us from living. Lily has her own voice, her own dreams. She can't if we stay locked away and afraid. It's not just fear, Sarah replied, tears brimming. It's reality. I worry people won't see her like we do. They'll judge her. They'll just see a little girl with a brush, not an artist. That's just it, Jack urged. That's why it matters. She showed them tonight what it means to have joy, to embrace life with open arms. Isn't that what you want for her? As the words hung in the air, Jack watched a storm of emotions cross Sarah's face. Her fingers trembled against her sleeve, uncertainty etched deep within. It would be so much easier to just keep her safe. Safe? Jack echoed, his voice low. What if that's a different kind of prison? And what if this moment is a step toward freedom for both of you? For a moment, they stood in silence, tension swirling between them. The sounds of applause melted into the background, replaced by the soft rustling of leaves and the distant echo of laughter inside. Jack searched her face, wanting desperately to see a spark of understanding, just a glimmer of acknowledgement that he was right. I just don't want her to get hurt again, Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible. Like before, when everything changed. Jack felt a lump forming in his throat. The memories flashed painfully. The accident that had shattered their lives, and the silent pain they both bore. We can't let that define us, he said finally. We owe it to her to let her live. Truly live. As Sarah looked back towards the gallery, her expression softened momentarily. Jack wished he could take away the burdens she carried. The weight of their history threatened to crush any progress they could make. Could they find a way forward together? Or would the past continue to hold them back? Just then, the sound of Lily's laughter floated out of the gallery again. Innocent, pure, and infectious. It swept around them like the warm night air, soothing a fragile space between them. Perhaps, just perhaps, it was not too late to heal. Jack took a deep breath, making a silent promise to his daughter. As they turned back towards the door, the unexpected ringing of a phone cut through the moment, pulling Jack's focus sharply. It was a number he hadn't seen in years. He answered cautiously, sensing that whatever news lay on the other end held the power to change everything once again. Would this be another heartache, or a lifeline amid their struggles? In that instant, both Sarah and Jack felt the edges of their world shift. Uncertainty loomed large before them, and everything could change with a single revelation. What awaited them on the other side of this call? Jack's heart raced as he heard the voice on the other end. Jack, it's me. This is important. The familiar tone sent a shiver down his spine. It was David, an old friend, almost like a brother. But why was he calling now? What's going on? Jack asked. The casual tone dropped, replaced by concern. I need to talk to you, in person. It can't wait. There was urgency in David's voice, a gravity that made Jack's stomach twist. Glancing at Sarah, he noticed her watching him closely, worry etched on her face. Where? Jack replied, his mind racing. Meet me at the diner. You remember that place? Yeah, I'll be there. After the call ended, Jack felt a surge of fear mixed with anticipation. What could be so important? He turned to Sarah, who was biting her lip. Who was it? She asked, already sensing something was off. David. He wants to meet. Her eyes widened a fraction. Now? What's it about? I don't know, Jack admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. But it sounds serious. Should I come with you? Part of him wanted her by his side, to share the weight of whatever news lay ahead. But another part urged him to keep this moment sacred between him and David. No. I think it might be better if I go alone. Okay. But promise you'll call me right after. Of course. He kissed her forehead, trying to soothe her unease. As he walked away, the light from the gallery illuminated a path ahead, but shadows loomed behind him, the outlines of their shared history replaying painfully in his mind. Jack arrived at the diner a few minutes later, the familiar neon lights flickering against the darkening sky. He spotted David in a booth, his expression tense. As Jack approached, David looked up, and their eyes locked. It was as if a silent understanding passed between them. "Thanks for coming," David said, motioning for Jack to sit. "What's happening?" Jack pressed, taking a seat across from him. David took a deep breath, his hands fumbling with the edge of the table. "I found something. About Lily." The air around them thickened, and Jack felt the world narrow down to that moment. "What do you mean?" "Something that could change everything for her. I didn't know how to tell you over the phone. Hell, I didn't even know if I should tell you at all." Jack's pulse quickened. "Just tell me, David. What is it?" "There's a foundation. They help kids like her, kids with her dreams. I found out they have resources, mentors, programs. They could give her the exposure she deserves, the help she needs to really thrive." Jack felt a mix of hope and skepticism battle within him. "You really think this could work?" "I do, but they only take a few kids each year. We have to apply soon, tonight if you want to make it." The urgency of the situation crashed down on him. Was this the lifeline they had been waiting for? Yet, the familiar worry crept back into his mind. It was not just about losing Lily to the outside world. It was about the hope of letting her bloom, the fear of unraveling all they had fought so hard to keep together. What if she can't handle it? What if... Jack couldn't finish the thought. David leaned forward, his eyes earnest. "Jack, if we let fear dictate her life, we'll be robbing her of a chance to become who she's meant to be. This doesn't have to be scary. It can be a new beginning." Silence enveloped them for a moment. Jack wrestled with his internal conflict. Could this truly be the opportunity they so desperately needed? As the waitress approached, coffee in hand, Jack realized that he didn't just need to think about the future, but actually take a leap into it. With everything at stake, would he choose to embrace the risk or retreat into the shadows of their past? "It's time to decide," David urged. "What do you want for her?" Jack's heart beat heavily in his chest. Would he grasp this potential flame of hope and set his family on a path toward light? Or would fear snuff it out before it even began? As he wrestled with the weight of the choice before him, the door of the diner swung open, and in walked an unexpected figure from their past. The sight made Jack's breath catch. What would this new arrival mean for their already fragile reality? Jack's gaze sharpened as the figure stepped into the diner. Instinctively, his pulse quickened. It was a ghost from their past. Someone he hadn't seen in years. Maya. Once a bright spark in their lives, her absence had left a significant void. "Maya," he whispered, incredulity mixing with confusion. The memories flooded back. Laughter, summer days spent together. But also the heartache of losing contact when everything split apart, when life became too complicated. David followed Jack's gaze, and his brow furrowed with concern. "You okay?" Jack nodded mechanically, but the knot in his stomach tightened. Maya approached their booth, her expression guarded yet determined. She didn't look the same. The carefree spirit was gone, replaced by an intensity that made Jack uneasy. "Jack." Her voice was steady, but Jack could sense the tremor underneath. "David?" "Maya," David greeted, a bit stiffly. He hadn't known what she meant to Jack, but the tension in the air was palpable. "What are you doing here?" Jack ventured cautiously. "I've been trying to reach both of you," Maya said, glancing around the diner as if searching for something or someone. "I heard about Lily, and I wanted to help." "How do you know about Lily?" Jack shot back. It struck him that she had kept herself in the shadows long enough. The sudden reappearance felt orchestrated. Maya pulled in a shaky breath. "It doesn't matter how I found out. I just know that she has talents, and that she needs support." "What are you offering?" Jack's voice lowered, wary. Her intentions felt convoluted. "I'm connected to the foundation you mentioned," she said, eyes flashing with intensity. "I can get Lily an interview, an edge over the other applicants. But you need to trust me." Jack exchanged a look with David, who shook his head almost imperceptibly. The skepticism passed between them like an electric current. Trust? It wasn't a currency they had to spend lightly. "Why now?" Jack pressed, folding his arms. "Why not reach out before? You kept your distance." "I was dealing with my own demons, Jack." Maya's frustration spilled over. "I didn't want to complicate things for you. But now I see Lily's potential. I can't stand by and do nothing." Jack felt the weight of her words. She was right. Lily did have potential, and they couldn't let the past dictate how they moved forward. But could he really put his faith in someone who had vanished previously? "Here's the deal," David interjected, his tone firm. "If you want in, then you need to prove it. Show us you're serious about this." Maya nodded, a fire igniting in her eyes. "I will do whatever it takes." Jack opened his mouth, but the bitterness of uncertainty caught in his throat. With each word exchanged, the complexities of their shared past threatened to unravel further. "What about Lily's feelings?" Jack demanded suddenly. "We can't just spring this on her. It has to be her choice." A painful silence settled among them, but Jack knew it had to happen. The stakes were too high to ignore. "We have a decision to make, Jack," David said. "What do we really want for Lily?" The question echoed in Jack's mind as he watched Maya, the girl who had once been so vital in their lives, now bearing the weight of heavy choices. Could she be a lifeline, or would trying to connect them only sink them deeper? As Jack considered their options, he noticed a flicker of recognition in Maya's gaze, not towards him, but over his shoulder. He turned instinctively, just as a figure stepped into view, a stranger with an imposing presence. The newcomer glanced at them, his dark sunglasses reflecting the diner lights ominously. Jack's heart dropped. What was happening? Who was this man, and what did he want? With dread pooling in the pit of his stomach, Jack realized things were about to get much more complicated. The stranger strode into the diner, exuding an intensity that sent ripples of apprehension through Jack and David. Jack exchanged a glance with Maya, who seemed frozen by a mix of fear and surprise. "Do you know him?" he asked, keeping his voice steady, an urgency humming just beneath the surface. Maya shook her head slowly, but Jack could see the tension in her shoulders. "No. But something feels off." The man approached their booth, his eyes scanning the table like a hawk hunting for prey. As he pulled away his sunglasses, revealing a hardened expression, Jack's heart raced. The diner, with its flickering lights and clinking silverware, grew strangely hushed around them. "Jack Holloway," the man stated, a smirk curling at his lips. "I've been looking for you." "What do you want?" Jack asked, forcing the words out despite the tightness in his throat. Behind him, David shifted, ready to intervene, though Jack felt the waves of warning wash over him. He didn't want to escalate matters in front of Maya. The stranger leaned against the booth, his arrogance palpable. "There's no need to be so defensive. I just think we should talk a little business. Not interested, Jack shot back, a sudden surge of protective instinct rising for Lily, for Sarah. He was done letting others dictate the terms of his life. I believe you are, the man replied, feigning casualness. You see, it's come to my attention that your daughter might have some untapped potential. I want to help unlock that potential. Jack's mind whirled, disbelief hitting him like a cold splash of water. Unlock her potential? What's the catch? The stranger straightened up, his demeanor shifting to one of authority. You're wealthy, Jack, very wealthy. I can offer you connections within the industry, opportunities for Lily that could change her life. But it's going to take a sizable investment on your part. A favor for a favor. And who exactly are you? David interrupted, brow furrowed. Why should we trust you? The man waved his hand dismissively. Let's just say I handle talent, and I've got the resources to ensure a bright future for your daughter. His gaze pinned Jack, daring him to reconsider. Jack felt a whirlwind of emotions, fear, anger, temptation. Could this be the answer to everything they had wanted for Lily? Or was it just a trap, a scheme designed to entangle them deeper into a world they had fought so hard to escape? I'll tell you this, the man continued, leaning in. Lily will get opportunities you could never afford if you continue on your own. Sometimes you have to play the game, Jack. Not at the expense of my daughter's happiness, Jack said firmly, his voice steady against the rising tide of uncertainty. You don't know her. What she needs is support and love, not some shady deal. The stranger smiled coldly, revealing a hint of menace. I'm not your enemy, Jack. Just a friend looking out for you. You could use a friend. In that moment, Maya finally broke her silence. Get out, she said, her voice low but fierce. You're not welcome here. The man's eyes narrowed, assessing her with a cool contempt. Play nice, Maya. You may not understand the stakes here. Jack inhaled sharply, the tension snapping like a taut string as he felt the weight of a larger decision pressing down on him. I'm done with people trying to manipulate us. The words flew out, as if they were a declaration, grounding him. Just think about your daughter, Holloway, the man replied, his voice silky smooth. These opportunities don't come free, and if you turn your back now, she could end up with nothing. I'm giving you a chance. With a sharp intake of breath, Jack nodded toward the door. Leave. You're not helping her. Just leave before I call the police. A moment passed, thick with hostility. Then the stranger straightened up, a satisfied smirk spreading across his face. Keep your choices narrow-minded, Jack. You'll regret it. With a quick turn, he strode out of the diner, leaving an unsettling silence behind him. As soon as he was gone, Jack felt the tension begin to dissipate. He turned to Maya and David, their faces mirroring the anxiety that pulsed through him. I'm sorry about that, he said, swallowing hard. It's just... No, Maya interrupted, her eyes intense. You did the right thing. That man was trouble. You need to protect Lily from people who would see her as a pawn. Jack nodded, but uncertainty gnawed at him. But what about the opportunity? What if he didn't lie? Sometimes you have to trust your instincts, David added. Your love for her will always guide you. We can find a better way. In that moment, a realization washed over Jack. It wasn't just about seizing opportunities. It was about building a foundation for Lily, a space where she could feel safe, grow, and flourish. Just as he had watched her paint, every brushstroke a testament to her spirit, he understood that she deserved her canvas, one filled with meaningful connections, community support, and genuine belief in her talent. With newfound clarity, Jack turned back towards the door. You're right. It's time to step back, to reconnect with the love we lost along the way. How do we start? Maya asked, her earlier intensity easing into something hopeful. Let's go back, Jack proposed, determination overtaking him. Let's gather the resources Lily truly needs. The support from our community, friends, real people. As they exited the diner, a wave of warmth wrapped around them, and Jack knew he was right. Whatever challenges awaited, they would face them together. Not as isolated figures, but united as a family that would nurture Lily's dreams on their own terms. And as they stepped into the night, a glimmer of the future flickered brightly before them, illuminating a path that understood the beauty of resilience and love, ready to lead them all towards incredible transformation. Now, what are you waiting for? You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for stories that touch your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep more stories like this coming. Don't wait. Not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let's discuss. Your support means everything.